And then finally, the connectivity piece. And it's that holistic technology, not just technology in terms of, do we have the state-of-the-art computers? I'm talking about full-blown form and function of infrastructure. So staff need the tools to do excellent work. They need to be in an environment that's safe, where they can become effective and they can produce. I was in Detroit, and I was talking to a program manager there. I was training some of the staff and the leaders there, and a program manager walked up to me and she said two things that were really distressing to me. One, as many of you know, the challenges that Detroit has had over the past many years, and the offices that they work in. She had commented that, the environment that the workers have to come into, the roof was leaking in multiple places in the building. And she said, Ginger, do you know why the roof was leaking? And I said, no. She said, because there are bullet holes riddled through the building that the workers were in. So the level of violence that has happened over the years in Detroit, we have workers in buildings where roofs are leaking, and as a result of a building being riddled with bullets. Then she said that the workers are not safe when they go into communities, that there are certain communities in Detroit that the police won't go into unless they have backup. And workers are being told that, I'm not going in there with you until backup comes. But as mandated reporters, we are mandated to go into those communities. So our workers go into environments, they're not armed. They're going in there with their assessments and, their belief in families and their ability to make good decisions. That's their shield that they're going into communities in. And I'm sure that Georgia has similar communities. They may or may not be as extreme as Detroit, or they may be. I have yet to make my journey across the entire state. However, are we sending workers into environments where they're safe? Are they safe in the buildings that they work in? When we talk about this arc of child welfare and we talk about families and communities, our workers are a part of those families and communities. You see massive amounts of domestic violence happening in child welfare buildings if workers aren't safe. People are coming into buildings, things are happening across the country where we're working in environments where we're not safe, where we're not protected, where we don't have the things that we need. I said to Bobby, how can we create a system where DFACS is like the Nike of child welfare? How do we become the Nike of child welfare? Why is it that it's okay for corporate America to have all of the technology and all of the things that they need to be successful, but the individuals that are working with our most precious population doesn't have the resources that they need to be successful? The technology piece. Yes, there's some new technology. I got a chance to be a part of conversation where it was stated we have iPads or the capability for workers to go out and do work in the field. This is great. However, what I noticed is but the technology's got to work though. I've been here for 30 days and I got emails, the system in some form or fashion has been down for over 11 times. That's almost half of the time that I've been here that I've gotten an email that Shines isn't working properly or the VPN is down. So I have this great piece of technology and I'm out in the field. I need to visit with my families because while we need to put information in Shines, that is very much a part of our work. The biggest part of our work is being out there, being able to interface with children and families, to have our eyes on them, our hands on them, our ears on them, so that we can protect them, so that we can keep them safe, so that we can ensure their well-being. And when our technology doesn't work, a worker has to time manage. So as a worker, I've got to say this much time I'm going to spend in the office or, on my iPad, inputting information. Well, if Shines is down for 2 days, I just lost 48-hour window of opportunity to do that piece of work that I had scheduled a certain amount of time to do so that I could do that, so that I could be 100% productive when I'm meeting with families. The technology has to work. And so that is some of the challenges or opportunities that I've seen in my short period of time that I've been here. But what I'd like to move into now is just to talk about the opportunities that we have. So next, it's on, never mind. It's on here. So we have opportunity, political will. We have the opportunity where we have individuals that have the ability to make decisions, whether they are decisions about budget, where they're decisions about message. People in power who can make great decisions to move our organization forward. So we have to have the political will to be successful. We have to have the public will as well. The public has to believe in DFACS. They have to move from DFACS as incompetent baby snatchers, because I shared this story with Bobby. I was out again enjoying Georgia, and I was at the mall, and a woman was helping me, and you have a store here called Von Mar, and there is no Von Mar on the West Coast. And so she says, so where are you from? And I said, well, I live in California. I'm originally from Seattle. She's like, oh, why are you here? And I said, I'm doing some work with the child welfare system. And she immediately stopped and was like, DFACS? I mean, like her whole expression just changed. And she said, well, I'm so glad you're here because, I do X, Y, and Z, and something needs to be done about the system. This is a woman who was helping me buy some tank tops. And her immediate visceral reaction to DFACS was negative. We have to turn that around because people need to see us, even though we see families in their worst moment, they still have to believe and know that we are there to serve them. As a social worker, when we talk about, we have a code of ethics in social work, and the first code of ethics is service. We are here to serve children and families. We need to serve them quickly, we need to serve them well, and we need to serve them comprehensively. We need to change the mindset that the public has about DFACS. And so we have to garner public will. If we have public will, they will stand with us when things are not their best. When something happens or we lose a precious light, the community will still stand with us because they know what we're doing. They know the vision. They understand the direction. They support it and they see it in action. We also have to have the resources. We have to have the financial capital to move the organization forward, not just the crisis piece. So we need a few, staff here, or we need a few things here to handle the immediate crisis. We need a robust financial package that will move the organization forward. And we need the human capital to do so as well. People always say, well, if I just had enough money, I could do X, Y, and Z. Well, having worked at a foundation for a really long time, I will tell you that I have seen not just Casey, but our other foundation partners give millions of dollars, and the outcomes are terrible. And I've seen the foundation give $25,000 and the outcomes are through the roof. And so I think it's a balance between the financial resources that we need to be successful to address things like staffing, to address things like our full, robust infrastructure of the environment that our workers work in and our technology, as well as the human capital. If we have the political and public will, we're going to have people rolling up their sleeves to see how they can support the continuum and to support children and families. And then finally, we have an opportunity, but we need time. Even when something happens that we are not necessarily pleased with. We cannot be reactionary when it comes to the leadership. We have to give people time to make appropriate changes. If the system has had challenges for the past 20 years, no one is going to be able to come in for a year and undo 20 plus years of consistent deterioration of the system. It's not possible. I don't care who you are. Bobby is amazing. He is an amazing individual that I've had the pleasure of knowing for the past 30 plus days. And I know that he is doing great things and his leadership team will continue to do great things. But even he cannot move your system to where it needs to be in a year. It's not humanly possible. We have to have the threshold of time to do what's necessary. So as I move forward to the final elements, I would like to just present for us to consider a framework. So as I said earlier, we need a practice model. A practice model really is our conceptual map. It is our roadmap to the work that we do. A practice model articulates through action the mission and the vision and the goals of the organization. It's unified in what we do, again, from a time that a child enters our door all the way to the time that they leave and everything that happens in between. I used to train, some of you are probably familiar with permanency roundtables, and there's an action plan that comes out of a permanency roundtable. And I always used to say that the action plan was the roadmap to moving a child to positive permanency. So it's a heavy lift to do roundtables. It takes an absorbent amount of time. You're talking about 2+ hours on one individual case. But imagine spending all of the time that you all are spending to assess and come up with a plan. Imagine what you do outside of this work. And imagine if you ended up with no roadmap after you spent all of this time together, after you went through all these trainings, read all these documents. Imagine if you just left here and all of your thoughts were in your head, but we didn't create a roadmap of how we were going to complete what we needed to do. That's a practice model in a nutshell. It is our roadmap to ensure positive outcomes for children and families. Also, I would ask that you consider, as you think about a practice model, there's an organization called the National Implementation Research Network, or NIRN, and they have been assessing systems over time, doing compilations of looking at various practice models of jurisdictions. And so they ask us to consider 10 elements of a practice model housed under 3 drivers. The first driver is leadership. So we have to have leadership that commits to a practice model. That means that Bobby, he talks about the practice model wherever he goes. If he's in this room, if he's at the MARTA station and someone asks him what he does, he talks about the practice model. If he's visiting the legislature, no matter where he goes, if he is out to dinner and someone asks him, what does he do? I am the director of DFACS, and you know what? We have a robust practice model that does this, this, and this. The leader has to be committed to the practice model and talking about it wherever they go.